Hello friends, and welcome to Running Errands in Hollywood. I'm your host, Oriana Leo, and this week I'm coming to you from my hotel room in Las Vegas. I'm working away this week, but last week I had the pleasure of interviewing Maria Kanellis and her fiance, Mike Bennett. You know them from wrestling, from Ring of Honor. Maria was on Outback Jack and many other shows. She's in short films. They have a podcast together. They're really an inspiring couple as far as couples go, as far as entrepreneurs and entertainers go. I really hope you enjoy the interview. Stay tuned. Well, welcome, Mike and Maria.
Thank you.
To Running Errands in Hollywood. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having us.
You two are so talented between wrestling, podcasting, acting, modeling for you, singing. It's unbelievable. I'm so excited about our trip. But before we get started, where are we going?
Well, we definitely need some coffee. Okay. Coffee is a very important
Coffee
thing.
Stop.
Yeah.
Let's take a trip.
Hasn't woken up yet.
I find that hard to believe.
She will murder me.
Okay, well, good to know. Let's prevent murder, and we will head off to Starbucks.
All right.
I think we shall go to the Beverly Hills.
Very fancy.
We'll have a very fancy Starbucks. They're actually all the same, but you could just pretend.
Yeah.
So you guys are here in LA, and are you promoting anything in particular? What has brought you out here?
We're actually working for Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore this weekend, which is a wrestling show. We're doing the wrestling show tomorrow in San Diego at the Errands.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
we've already been there once too, and it's so awesome.
Yeah.
They have a lazy river.
Oh my gosh, you guys! I had my bachelorette party there.
Really?
Yes. I had my bachelorette at it's called the Dive.
Yes.
Oh my God, I don't remember most of it, but the pictures look like I had a great time.
Yeah.
But I remember the lazy river. It's a water park for grown-ups, essentially,
Yes.
and
Amazing.
a club and DJs.
Yes.
So what are you guys gonna do there? The show's there?
The show's there.
Awesome.
Show's there. There's a signing during the day. There's tons of wrestlers coming in for it. It's going to be amazing. And Mike actually gets to wrestle one of his idols, so he's very excited about
Who's that? Who's the idol?
Lance Storm.
Lance
Been
Storm.
a wrestler for 20, 25 years. Yeah. I've actually wrestled him a handful of times, and so this will be nice to do it again somewhere we haven't wrestled.
This will be the fourth time, right?
The fourth time, yeah. We've already wrestled 3 different times.
So I have to give you a backgrounder on my knowledge of wrestling, which is essentially me being like 7 thinking that Hulk Hogan's the coolest guy ever.
Oh, that's okay.
That's about all I know. But I did have Chavo in the car running errands a while back. So he gave me a little bit, of insight into the industry, as you were mentioning just a few minutes ago, about how wrestling is entertainment like any other form of the entertainment business. It's a business, right?
Most definitely.
So how did you guys meet?
We actually met at a wrestling show.
Wrestling show.
And I think we met prior to that wrestling show, but we don't remember.
I don't remember.
We don't remember ever meeting before, but we had been working for the same company, or he had been visiting the same company that I was at before, but we don't remember that time. So the time that we actually remember meeting was at a wrestling show. It was my first wrestling show back after getting released from the WWE.
Okay.
And I thought I was done. I'm done with wrestling. I'm not going to do this anymore, all this stuff. And then I went to that show, and there he was, and I kept staring. And
In all my glory. I have no game, by the way. I didn't try to work game. I didn't try to do anything.
Okay, but kids at home, this is what works. Don't use game.
Don't use game.
Yeah. If you don't have game, you're authentic and you're yourself, and that's how you catch the babe.
Well, I think we started talking about, like, the leftover pizza in the locker room.
we did, yeah. And you were scarfing it down.
Yeah, I was eating it. It
were
looked pretty gross.
You were eating lots of pizza. And then we all went to dinner that night, and it was a whole group of us. And I made sure I sat right across from him. And he was eating cheese sticks all, like, elegantly with his knife and fork. I'm like, who eats cheese sticks with their knife? And
so that is why you don't have game, because that was my game. I was like, normally I would eat cheese sticks with my fingers and be a slob, but this pretty girl
There was a lady
present, so I will cut my cheese sticks and eat it very properly. Apparently she made fun of me for it.
And I did. And but we weren't dating other people, so there was no way we could actually be together.
Sure.
So a few months after that, he sends me a direct message on Twitter. So direct messaging on Twitter works sometimes. And he sent me a direct message on Twitter. He's like, I'm eating cheese sticks. You want to help? And that was the way that we first started talking again. And we didn't go on our first date until like a month after that. We just
That's
talked.
great. That's really great.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
And the first time he came to our first date, he drove 9 hours to come and see me. He got stuck in traffic in Boston, in New York. It was
She
crazy.
was in Philly and I was in Boston. I was like, well, this is the closest you're going to be to me for a while, so come down and visit you. It's only a 5-hour drive.
Right.
10 hours later after traffic.
Oh my God.
Got to dinner at like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Now, so you guys don't currently live in the same, whoa, bicyclist.
Oh,
Hey there.
he doesn't
Hey
care.
there. Okay.
You just
He
stay
wants
over
in
there.
on this podcast.
The best part about the show is that all the things you get to see on the way and the close calls.
The crazy.
The crazies. So you guys are long distance.
Uh-huh.
Have you always been long distance?
No. There was when I used to live out here. I lived out here for about 5 years. And when we first started dating, he moved in with me out here for about 6 months. I ended up selling my house. And then after that, we lived in Carver, Massachusetts together for about a year. And then I decided to go back to school. And so ever since a year ago, we've been separated.
And what are you going to school for?
It's a very long title.
Okay.
Sports, entertainment, and event management.
That's awesome.
Mhm, yeah.
You must have found the right school that offered this program.
I did. It's Johnson & Wales University. I've already been accepted, and they offered me a scholarship as well. And I was never a school person. I went, I did my thing. I got my diploma for graduating high school, and then I went to college for just a year. And I was terrible at it. Like, I was the worst college student. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to be traveling. I
Right.
had no desire to be in school. So I got out of school, became a wrestler, and then the next 10 years happened. But, I mean, I went back to school a year ago, and I've had the best grades of my life. Like, I'm so proud of them. I, like, tweet them out, and I Instagram my grades. But,
Well, there's a lot to be said for getting an education when you're ready for it and you're mature enough to handle the responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think I would do college over if I could, for sure.
mm-hmm.
So you guys are long distance right now,
Mhm.
but you were mentioning to me before we got in the car that wrestling is something that kind of brings you together. But how did each of you get into wrestling? Because to me, this is a little foreign. Like, I didn't grow up always wanting to be a wrestler.
Uh-huh.
So I'd like to hear both of your stories. And Mike, I just want to make sure you speak up so that the kids at home can hear you.
Yeah, no, I always watched wrestling. Like, when I was 5, me and my buddy would it was just, that's what 5-year-olds did. We watched Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior.
Right?
And we just beat each other up, and that was it. But then I kind of fell out of love with it as I got older. But then I think around like 12 or 13, so there was like a 5-year period where I wasn't watching wrestling. But then when Stone Cold was around and The Rock was around, I was like, all right, well, this is awesome. And that's when I was like, I know I want to be a professional wrestler. And I told my parents that at like 13. I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And they were like, sure, okay. Luckily, my parents have always been 100% supportive of all my brothers and sisters. They just, like, if it's what you love, then go do it. You might as well, try to do something you love than do something you hate. And
That's great parents.
Yeah, they've always been that way. They had one condition, because at 15 I found a wrestling school and I was like, I'm gonna go, but I needed their permission because I was underage. They're like, well, if you have a backup plan, then we will support you 100%.
Great parents.
And so I said, all right, I will go to college when I get out of high school. And they said, sure. They stuck to their game. They sent me to the school. I went to college, and I've been wrestling ever since I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I got my degree in criminal justice, so I have something to fall back on. And now I've just been wrestling.
You're inspiring me. I'm serious. I did not do what my passion was at 12. I was realistic.
Yeah.
That blows.
Yeah.
No way. So I worked tirelessly on my on the first plan, on the backup plan.
yeah.
And I went into pharmaceutical sales, and it was miserable, and I hated it. And I got to the point of me having to be so unhappy and like physically ill that I left. And now I'm doing what I love, but boy, I wish I had started a long time ago, right?
Yeah, I think that everybody's path is different, though. I mean, it's never too late to start to do what you dream about doing. And I think that sometimes you just have to make that realization to be truly passionate about something, because maybe you would have started back then, and maybe you would have just gone for it like half speed.
Totally.
But since you already did the grown-up thing to do.
Right?
Like, you already experienced that. You know what that is.
Yep.
So now you're doing what you're passionate about, but you can go for it full force because you've already done the grown-up thing.
It's so true. And how did you get attracted into wrestling? I mean, I was doing my research on you, and I saw that, doing beauty pageants and stuff as you were growing up. And I'm wondering when did that transition happen? Because most beauty pageant girls don't go, I want to be a diva.
Well, I mean, I started beauty pageants when I was 17. And my mom had to go with me to the clubs that I was doing the pageants in. Because you can't get into a bar unless you're 18, some places 21.
Right.
So my mom used to go with me, and she'd sit there and she'd read her book while I was doing half naked on stage.
Another very supportive parent, though.
And I think that's one thing we definitely connect on is like, that's going to be our style of parenting.
Right.
It's the way that our parents did it. But so I was doing all these bikini pageants, and then one time there was a casting call at the beauty pageant, and it was for Outback Jack, which is a reality show.
Right.
So I went and I did that, and I had a great time doing Outback Jack.
Can you give me a quick, what was that
Sure.
about?
It was 13 girls get dropped in the Australian outback with no electricity, no like outside communication whatsoever. Literally dropped out. I parachuted for the first time on this damn show, and it was amazing.
I bet it was.
But I could never do it again because Australia was so beautiful. Like, why? I wouldn't do it anywhere else. I'd have to like up my game somehow. But so I did that show. I made it to the top 3, and I got eliminated. Thank God, or else I never would have met this guy. So that happened. That was great. As soon as I got off the show, I seen this thing on Monday Night Raw. It was called the Diva Search, and I was like, "That's really cool. I would love to do it." I never had any wrestling background. I was a dancer. Like I did ballet, tap, jazz, all this stuff, but never thought about beating someone up, except my brother. But so I entered online. And I had no agent at the time or anything like that. Come to find out, there was only 2 girls that made it in the top 10 that had no agents. And the way that I found out that I was making it any farther was I saw my picture on Monday Night Raw. And I loved it.
I just got goosebumps. That's crazy.
I was watching it, and it like all of a sudden there's my photo in a bikini. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And so I had recorded it at the time because I was waiting to see. But like it was, I made it on the show, and I went from, there was 6,000 girls that entered. It got down to 300, down to 26, and I made it in the top 10. So
That's
weird.
amazing.
But I knew the show.
Right.
And so I was making fun of the judges and calling them popcorn farts because that's what The Rock said. So it must be the right thing to say. So I was, total ham about it because I was just excited to be there.
Which is why they loved you.
It was fun, and so I made it into the top 5 there. I flipped off everyone as I'm leaving. It was in front live television, so there I was flipping the birds because So Cold Steve Austin did that. So here I go, I leave, and I am a crazy lady. I'm calling every single week. Can I come back now? Will you guys hire me now? A few months after that, they called me up and they said, we're going to give you a tryout. And I ended up going down to Ohio Valley Wrestling and trained to wrestle for 2 weeks. Every night, I was in a salt bath. I literally was in Epsom salt, and I was so purple.
Oh my gosh.
Anybody that says wrestling is fake, I would dare them to go and do 2 weeks. It is crazy. You're bruised and battered. I mean,
I'm sure.
You get bruised when you're doing yoga, or you get bruised, but you're hitting ropes, and you're,
I can't, no, thanks. I'm glad you do it for me. Thank you for taking that. It sounds like, when I do the show, I love having people that are in this business that are so passionate because you have to endure, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like both of you have been doing this for a while now. So I have a couple questions regarding that.
Sure.
What do you do when it's quiet? Like when the phone's not ringing, when your schedule isn't booked? Because I feel like for people like us, we operate at our best when everything's booked and going, and we know how to handle that.
Yeah.
What do you do when it's crickets? And I'm looking for advice here too, because that's when I have to manage myself.
It's very tough.
Well, I'm such a wrestling nerd that I just watch more wrestling. Like I study more tapes, and that's literally all I do right before I go to bed. If I have downtime when I'm doing cardio at the gym, it's just all I do. So
does that make you better?
It does, yeah. And it's more so become just habit that when I have free time, I just put in a tape or put on the internet or do something like that. That's how it is for me. It makes my
And he
time
also
go
goes
by.
to class too, or he'll help train guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is really helpful for him too, because he's such a fantastic wrestling trainer. But yeah, so
I
he'll
don't
do a
feel
lot
like
of
it
that.
ever turns off for me.
Right.
It just is constantly, it's just my life. now.
Maintaining that activity.
Yeah, that's my life. That's my downtime. That's my work.
And Maria, what about you?
I get a little crazy too. It's
That's
it's
insane.
tough. I've always been busy. I was a dancer growing up, so I was going to dance classes sometimes 10, 12, 15 hours a week, and I was on the dance team, and I was going to high school, you know.
Right.
So I was always busy. For me, I try and learn a new skill. You know, if there's downtime right now, it's all wedding planning. I mean,
Yeah.
And you just had a wedding, so I'm sure you know, like,
I had a
it's-
teeny tiny secret wedding, and it still took over my life for 6 months.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine.
Well, we have 200 people coming. And I'm doing a lot of DIY.
But this is a skill that you're learning right now.
Right.
It's called Party Planning 101, and the
it's gonna
biggest
help
party
me
of
in
your
my-
life.
Right, and it's going to help my future as well, because going into event management is going to be so helpful.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I'm doing a lot of that right now. I went back to school because of that as well, and literally, I went back to school because at this point in my life, I'm wrestling on the weekends. I can go to school during the week. And so I thought, okay, this is what I'll do. And then all of a sudden, I started getting busier again.
But that's the rule, right?
Yes!
As soon as you think it's slow and you
Yes!
can make a commitment,
Uh-huh.
like, oh, you know, I've got time, or I'll pick up another job, or I'll do this, then pop,
It's
other stuff
wild.
comes up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm okay with not being and doing so many, you know, acting things, or not going on so many auditions, or whatever it is. I'm okay with that. No, acting is not okay with it, apparently. They just want to bring me back in. So,
Totally.
but it's amazing too, because I'm not going to give up the things that I'm working on for me, for things that other people think might be good for me. And I would love to be in more films. I'm writing 2 films right now, co-writing them, and I'm very involved in you know, this production company called Woodhaven Productions, and all of the people that are around that company. There's a guy, Nick Principe, and he's just fantastic. He's in the horror world, and like he knows everybody out there.
I love
and
horror.
like I love doing stuff with him, and he just directed his first short, and he had me in it.
I saw that. What was it called?
The
The short. I was just looking at your Twitter feed and checking out all of your projects. Penance. How was that?
It's dark and amazing.
I'll have
And
to watch it.
It's very bloody.
Oh, good.
Very
Very
bloody.
bloody.
But it's a short, and I love doing it. But it definitely, for me, I always try and learn a new skill. When I was out here a few years ago and things were slow, I learned how to sword fight. I now know how to use an axe, and it's crazy, but
that's amazing. Can we just stop for a second? When you're like, I have some downtime, I'm gonna learn a new skill. First of all, one, how do you decide on sword fighting?
Sword fighting,
and
yes.
B, do you like read a book or do you take a class?
read a book, definitely. No, I actually got brought in for this. It was a sword fighting production.
Okay.
And it was, low budget. There wasn't, this guy is an amazing sword fighting teacher. His name is Tim Wesk, and he's incredible. And he brought in a bunch of girls to learn how to sword fight and to put on these fights. And so I learned how to sword fight through it.
God, that's amazing.
And it was incredible. Oh my gosh. It's such a rush, and I was so sore
like
from doing
real
it.
swords.
It was
Like
it was
a
a metal
very
sword.
heavy-
It wasn't sharpened, but it was a metal sword.
Okay. We're just gonna get aggressive here.
All right. You got this.
Hi, people.
Hi, let us in.
Hi, let us in. Oh, no, just kidding.
No, he's faking it. Oh, this guy's anyone?
Don't look at us like that.
Anyone?
Oh, any courtesy.
Come on.
Thank you, thank
Big
you.
truck, thanks.
Thank you.
We're waving.
Awesome.
Wait.
Driving in LA.
Wait.
And I think, too, with downtime, you just have to realize it's just for right now.
Right.
In wrestling, we call it the wheel. The wheel just keeps turning. Sometimes you'll be on the top, and sometimes you won't.
I like that.
And because in wrestling, that's what happens.
Right.
You'll have your top guys for a while, and maybe it's you, but maybe it's some guy that you don't really agree with being a top guy. But sooner or later, the wheel turns, and then you'll be
Just
back
a
on.
spoke on the wheel.
You know what? I really like that, like visually, you know? I really want to get over it, but we'll see. No, we're just gonna have to go the long way.
That's all right.
I really like that a lot. I feel like I deal with that same idea of, you know, getting really, really busy and then getting slow and having to, it's more of like managing your own mind, managing your energy, managing your skill set, like you're saying. But we're here!
Yay!
Yay!
Starbucks! I can wake up now!
Yep. So we're going to get our caffeine fix and we will be right back. And we're back.
With the coffee. It's delicious.
We've got our refreshments. Mike, no refreshments for you?
I drank it all in there.
Okay. All right.
So good.
So good.
Couldn't handle it.
So moving right along, I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions, kind of just like fun topics I enjoy. I really hope I don't have to pay this guy to get out of the parking lot.
I'll distract him.
Flash him.
I'll jump out and distract him.
Right? Oh, I do? Oh, then we'll have to start this over. Hi.
It's gonna be $1.50.
$1. Oh my gosh, what a gentleman. Thank you, sir.
There you go. Have a good day.
Have to pay for parking at Starbucks.
It's wild.
It is wild. Okay, moving right along. Some of the funny things that I like to discuss. I'm always searching for beauty tips, and I have a hashtag beautytipsfromthebiz because I feel like in this business you're always learning something. So I would love to get a tip from either of you or both of you of what, like, if you have like a tip or a secret that maybe most people wouldn't know that you do, if like maybe before you go on camera, before you get in the ring even. I mean, there has to be some element of pressure when you're going to be in the ring, right?
Tanning.
Oh, yeah.
Always tan. And I made him actually stop going to the tanning bed. So we use like
Fake
spray
tan.
tan and rub-on tanner. And there's this great one that it's like a spray gun.
Ooh.
And you can buy it at Sally's Beauty Supply. And it's fantastic. It's the only gun one at Sally's Beauty Supply. I don't know what the name is, but
Okay.
because the lights are so very bright, if you don't have, you look like just a white ghost, like no definition, no nothing,
Right.
because the lights have to be so
And the
bright.
tan brings out your muscle.
Nah,
They always say tan fat equals muscle.
But it's kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean, they say if you can't tone it, tan it.
Yeah.
But when you're under the lights and everything, it really like you're saying, it really blows you out.
Yeah.
Like you need more tan than
Yeah,
a
you
normal
do.
person. So do you end up kind of doing like an Oompa Loompa thing? Like, do you look browner than most people?
What? Yes, you look browner than most
In real
people.
life, yeah.
But
not when you're on TV.
But still,
when
it's not. With this one particular Sally's gun spray, you don't look ridiculous.
Okay.
Which is like a big thing for me because I will go and do signings before the show or I'll meet the fans and I don't want to look like a freak.
Right.
So I do want to be tan, but I don't want to be ridiculous. So we always spray tan.
And
but with that, you have to definitely put lotion on first.
Oh,
And wash your
interesting.
hands.
And wash your
Always
Sometimes
wash your hands.
when I use the rub-on spray tan and I don't wash my hands become extra orange.
Oh yeah,
And
you do.
Then I look like an Oompa Loompa.
Do you guys
Just my hands.
Do you
though.
have a special cocktail you use? Like there's a certain, like you use, you know, a spray on and a rub on.
Usually just the spray.
Wow, I have to get this stuff at Sally Hansen.
At Sally
Yeah.
Hansen's.
Okay,
And it's fantastic, but definitely moisturize.
but lotion first.
Yes.
and not just on the dry spots.
No, everywhere.
Okay,
Because
a
tan
hot tip.
sticks to dry skin more than it sticks to just moisturized skin.
Okay.
So you want it to be even. So you have to be equally moisturized.
Okay, see, this is what I love
moist.
to learn.
Very, very moist skin.
Okay, so I love this. I love learning new tips. Another thing I like to hashtag is learn from the legends, because to me it's all about learning, right? Like, who is successful and what can I learn from them, right? Because we're surrounded by amazing people that have accomplished amazing things, and you have to be inspired by somebody, probably when you were a kid, and then it changes. Who inspires you, or is there someone that you think is just amazing that you've learned a lot from, or you look to for advice or quotes, anything at all?
There's so many. I mean, Maria Menounos is definitely one of my biggest inspirations, just because I feel like she's a real person with real feelings and real dreams and aspirations and real troubles and real,
She's very relatable.
Very, very relatable. And she's always been so sweet to me, and I've been to her birthday party and it's fantastic. And she's just such a good person. Like she's a drinking buddy, but she can also be a mentor, you know?
Right.
So I admire that so much about her. But then always my mom. My mom is the greatest mom. She will do anything for her kids. And I just think that the way that she treats other people is something that I aspire to do every single day. And I don't always get there because I have quite the temper. But I try real hard. And so definitely, those would be a couple.
That's great. Mike, what about you?
I've always looked up to Kid Rock.
Really?
I've never met him, but and we were actually talking about this the other day. I have a lot of haters in wrestling and in the world, and they always tell me that the way I wrestle or the way I do things you can't do, and I always relate to that with Kid Rock, where they always tell him that genre of music is never going to work, or you can't jump.
Sure.
He started one way and then he jumped to country, and then he jumped, and they said, well, that'll never work, and he's still selling millions of records and selling out arenas worldwide. So I've always admired his just stick to his guns and just keep doing it, and I'm going to do it my way, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't, but I'm talented enough to know that it will work.
Absolutely.
Plus, I like his music. So that helps.
That's great. Well, it's important to have those sort of inspirations, and we were talking in Starbucks about haters and how that either like motivates you or kind of turns you down. Like, how do each of you, like, let's just say you hear, it's one thing to have one bad comment and it's another thing to have like 10, 20, 100, but how do you deal with haters?
It's so weird, because at first it used to get to me, but now it's more become a motivation. And I'm just so used to it that it's like, and I know sometimes when something's coming up that I'm like, well, I can just shove that in their face, so wait till they hear this. Or 9 times out of 10, it's just a motivational thing. But I get it 20 times a day. I get like at least 20 tweets telling me how much I suck, how much Maria deserves better, how like the most nastiest things you could ever imagine I get, and I just whatever. But
Good for you.
The thing is, I have validation from people I respect, and that's what I always tell people.
Right.
The people I look up to and admire in wrestling and in life, I have their validation that says, well, you're good enough to do it. So I'm like, well, the dude living in his basement on his computer isn't.
It's always consider your source.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? No matter what is being said, it's like, consider your source. I feel the same way about compliments too, though. It's like, well, great, you think I'm great, but who thinks I'm great? Like, is it someone I look up to that, you know, that I really value their opinion? That's going to have a much different impact than somebody, you know, somebody I don't know. But Maria, what about you, about haters? How does that affect you?
I just look at it this way. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been in entertainment for 16 years. So obviously there's a reason.
Right.
Like, there's a reason I'm still in this.
Right.
You know, there's a reason that I haven't just fallen off the map. So there's definitely something there and something inside me that just continues to motivate me and that must be at least talented enough to last this long. So I try and ignore it. But of course, you know, it gets to you every now and again. It does. But you have to look at it as...
We're still human.
Right,
yeah.
we're still human.
Nobody likes to be told they suck. Nobody likes to go and just have killed themselves and then someone just be like, well, that sucked. And you're like, but I just put my whole heart into that.
I tried so hard. Why don't you like it? But you have to consistently know that you're good enough and that there's a reason why you're doing this and that you're passionate about it. And some of the people that are looking at you making those comments are just jealous because they're too afraid to go after what they dream about.
Or, like, sometimes I just read the comments and I'm like, God, I wish somebody loved you. I wish you had love in your life, because for it to be okay for you to spew so much hatred, like, that's what your whole life is about. And I'm so sorry for you. I pray for you. I pray that you find love in your life, because, like, this is pathetic.
There are
Yeah.
so many times I get something on Twitter where it's just like literally the nastiest thing I've ever read. And then I'll go look at the person's profile and it's like, father of 2 beautiful girls. I'm like,
Oh no.
what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you are a dad.
Yeah.
And this is taking up your time to tell me
Yes.
how bad, like,
well,
those
that's
words.
one thing I wish. I mean, I don't wish, but I want to. I never respond to haters, but I want to be like, you took time out of your day to
Yeah, right, to
respond to
write
something
this,
I
yeah.
did.
Uh-huh.
I'm winning.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't like something, I just change the
You
channel.
ignore it.
Right.
I don't
That's what I always
find
say.
the
Yeah, you
time to write something about
Yeah.
it, which is amazing. But you guys have a new-ish venture, and that is podcasting.
Yes.
So can you tell me about like how that started and what that's like? Because I've never had fellow podcasters in the car, which is really exciting because you guys really get it. How did that start?
We actually did AfterBuzz TV for Raw. We did that, 2.5, 3 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
We're a bunch of AfterBuzzers in
Yes,
here.
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV. So we did that. We loved it. We thought it was amazing. We ended up having to move from LA, so we could no longer do that. Well, then late last year, a guy approached me and I said, we would love to have you on as one of our podcasters, and this was fanoff.com. So we talked about it and I said, okay, well, maybe we can do this. Maybe this will work. So we just started. And, in January was our first episode, and it was amazing. And the response has been incredible. We have over 1 million downloads since we started.
That's
We have
amazing.
80,000 downloads a week, some weeks. We have over 10,000 subscribers, which is great.
That's huge.
So,
and what's the name of it?
It's Mike and Maria in Wonderland.
in Wonderland. That's right.
And it's mikeandmariapodcast.com if you want to go to the website. But then you can also see it on Stitcher, on iTunes, so it's all over the place. But it's Mike and Maria in Wonderland because wrestling is a wonderland. Because life is a wonderland.
Yes, it is.
And you're constantly falling down these different rabbit holes and finding all these new adventures to go on. So for us,
I can't wait to listen in all honesty because this sounds like it's right up my alley.
But we have different guests on. We have wrestlers, but then we'll have sports guys. We'll have we've had a director on. We had a guy that does bench warmers trading cards, which
cool.
is sexy girl
Yes.
trading cards. So we have a little bit of everything. But the weirdest part about it is the episodes of just the two of us get more downloads.
Oh, that's very
Just us
interesting.
Yes.
Just the two of
Just
you?
the banter.
Yes.
Just the banter.
Yeah.
And we talk about politics, we talk about gun laws, we talk about everything. And it's so fun because we are very passionate about society and, doing what's best for the good of everyone. And so we'll talk about these different subjects and we'll get a caller in and they'll be like, oh, so, you really want to talk about this, or you really believe this, or we'll get a tweet about it. So it's fun for us because it's a place that we can go and not just talk about wrestling.
Right. I love podcasting because of the free form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say whatever you
It's
want.
so open.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love television. I love movies. I love internet content. But every mode of entertainment has its limitations. And I feel like podcasting has the least.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like whatever you want.
Just have fun.
Let's talk.
Right?
Yeah.
And do you guys do that in a studio or at home?
I do it on my bed and he does it in his basement.
That's awesome.
We connect via Skype.
We do.
And we have a producer in Denver.
Uh-huh.
Connects us all together.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that's
and then our
so
callers
cool.
call
Magic
in from
happens,
everywhere.
yeah.
We've had a caller in from Canada. We've had a caller in from Boston. We've had one. Have we had two from Canada?
I don't know, but
Just
we had a
one.
caller that thought it was your own personal number.
He did. I posted the number for the podcast.
Said,
He
please
called
call us. He goes, hey, is this Maria?
in. Why would you put your
Why are
number
you putting
on
your
your
number on Twitter?
Oh my
And then I
gosh.
started
What did-
losing
I
it
was going to say, what'd you
hysterically.
say?
I was like, he thinks it's your real number. He wants to go on a date. And then he hung up.
Oh, I was like, that's embarrassing. Whoops.
So funny. Yeah.
That's really funny.
Uh-huh.
Have you guys had creepy fan experiences?
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Anything stick out in particular?
The guy that asked for my socks in the airport is the one that sticks out to me all the time the most. I'm walking down the airport, just all of a sudden this guy comes up. He's like, hey, so can I buy your socks?
Buy?
Buy my socks.
Well, how much?
I was like,
That's what I said.
I need them.
I would have been like, all right, 200 each.
them.
Here you
Yeah,
go, buddy.
exactly. For $500, you could buy my socks.
Do what you
I'm
want with
wearing
them.
and they smell. And not that my feet stink, because they don't, because I'm a lady. But if they did,
That's why you would wear a sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that
I
reason.
just, you know,
That's bizarre.
it was very strange. I kept walking.
And Mike, what about you? Any weird fan experiences?
Not as weird as hers.
How
Yeah,
about
but you have a brigade now of guys. Those guys were crazy.
I have people come up to me, like, telling me that, you know, oh, how did you get Maria? How did that happen? Like, you know, I've had so many times.
Cheese sticks.
Man, you must have really lucked out on that one, huh?
Oh, well, thanks for the vote of
Thanks
confidence,
for it. And then
guys.
they're like, but I'm a big fan. I'm like, yeah, get out of here.
Sounds like you guys do have great fans.
Yeah,
Is
we
there
do.
anything that a fan has done like that real, like above and beyond, like touching or surprising?
You know, I've gotten a few letters from people that talk about, you know, that I had written them a letter when they were still in high school and they wanted to be a physical, personal trainer. And everybody told them, oh no, you're too fat, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And I guess I wrote her a letter that really had an effect. Because recently I got another letter saying that, you know, I'm personal training now and I'm getting to live my dream and all this stuff. And, you know, come to find out, she came from a family that wasn't into fitness. And that's how she got to be overweight. But that wasn't what defined her on the inside. Like,
Right.
on the inside, she was, you know, this athletic chick that really wanted to, you know, she wanted to be in society and active. And so she found her way there. And
you inspired her. That's
and
powerful.
That
That's-
to me is so humbling. That to me is just so strange, because I'm just some chick from the middle of nowhere town, hillbilly background, half Greek, have this, you know, it came from nothing, you know. My parents were fantastic, but my dad was a prison guard and my mom worked at a nursing home. You know, and they worked their tails off for us. They made sure we made it to dance class and made it to school and did all this stuff. But they didn't have that entertainment world. They didn't, you know, I came from the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And to have this person say, thank you so much, you inspire me to do this, that's humbling. And if that's all I ever do, that's enough.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that I feel like if you change a few lives, inspire a few people, it's just so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason to live.
Yeah.
You know? That's unbelievable. So I want to know, you know, we're getting closer to our destination.
Oh, no!
And I'm really sad. I know. This is so much fun. But I want to know what you guys are working on now, where the fans can see you and connect with you in the next, you know, I don't know, near future. What's going on?
You want to talk about Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about what is Ring of Honor. I mean, I have a ring.
Yeah, it's a wrestling company.
Okay.
People like to say it's the third biggest wrestling company in the world, but I like to say it's the second. I think we're slightly above TNA. But it's more sport oriented in wrestling. It still has entertainment values to it, but you're not going to see guys dressed up as women or clowns, or you're going to see actual pro wrestling like back in the 80s and early 90s when it was about the wrestling aspect about it. You're going to see so much innovation, wrestling moves you've never seen before.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll see
cool.
the greatest athlete. It's just it's really like the Cirque du Soleil of professional wrestling. Like, it's the stuff
piques
some of
my
these guys
interest.
do is absolutely incredible. And
You guys are both involved.
Yep.
We are. I manage him.
She manages.
We've been working together now for 2 years.
Almost 3.
Almost 3.
Yeah.
So okay, keep going. Keep telling me about Ring of Honor though. So where
we
can we
have-
find you, see you?
We have our first pay-per-view coming up.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's in Nashville, but it'll be on all cable providers. It's our first. We've done internet pay-per-views, but this is our first
That's
TV
huge.
It's
pay-per-view.
huge.
Yeah.
What's the date for that?
It's June 22nd.
June
It'll be at
22nd,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock pay-per-view.
We'll be on it. Matt Hardy will be on it, and it'll just be.
It's going to be great.
Congratulations.
it'll be a-
Thank
That
it'll be a
is
great-
so
Thank
exciting.
you so much. I mean, we're already on the Sinclair Broadcasting System, which is great because in some different markets we do have television there,
we're on
Right.
but we're not
syndication.
everywhere.
Right.
So with the pay-per-view, you
Now we're
can
everywhere.
watch it
If you have
everywhere.
cable, you can order it and
Right.
watch it.
That's such a
So
it's such a big
great.
deal. I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge every win because when you're as aggressive and ambitious as you have to be in this business, sometimes you you accomplish something and then it's like, well, now what?
Right.
What's next? What's next? And it's like, if you
I'm
don't,
terrible with that.
I know,
So
I am
bad.
too. And it's like, I have to take a moment to go, wait, good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Like, keep going, because if you don't celebrate it a little bit, you know, it can get a little tiresome.
Yeah, so we're doing the Ring of Honor shows. I have a film coming out this fall. It's called Penance. Mike just did a film recently. It's called No Mercy.
Almost Mercy.
Almost Mercy. No Mercy is a pay-per-view
No
for
Mercy's
another
in
company.
Almost.
So Almost Mercy, and he has that film coming out. It's probably going to come out within the next year. I had a film come out earlier this year. It was called Army of the Damned, which was great. It's with Woodhaven Productions. They were fantastic. And I have another film coming out this fall. It's called Opposite Sex, with this great cast. Mina Shavitz is in it. George Stoltz, like, fantastic cast. So very funny. And but yeah,
That's so exciting. How did you end up managing him? Like, how, I mean, obviously you're going to school now, but how did this happen, and how is that working out?
Well, when I worked for World Wrestling Entertainment, sometimes I would manage the guys up there. And, you know, what a manager does is they'll go out and make sure that their guy wins. That's what I do.
Okay.
So, you know, I've done it before. And then I came to Ring of Honor thinking, oh, I'll just do one show. It'll be cool. It was one of the pay-per-views. And so we thought, you know, we'll just work together one time. And then all of a sudden, I'm at another show, and they're like, oh, Maria's in this, right? And I was like, what? I'm in this? I didn't know, like, I was going to just work there all the time then. So I just started working with them, and it's been fantastic. You know, we have a great working relationship. We don't mix the two. Like, we both have very strong opinions on how things should be done in the wrestling world. So we respect each other when it comes to that, and we just leave it all in the ring. And then when it's love time, it's love time.
I mean, that's pretty amazing, Mike. I mean, how do you feel about being managed by your future wife?
No, I love it.
Does it make you feel like stronger, like
yeah,
as a
it's
team?
Just fun. We have so much fun together that it just makes the experience so much fun. Like, we get to travel, but like I always told you, she's the best traveling partner I've ever had.
Well, that's how you, in my opinion, you pick your mate, is who you can travel with, especially internationally.
We don't argue ever. Like, we have our own routines and we do it, but I can't think of one time. I mean, we argue about other things, but never about traveling. We travel, we're on the same schedule, and we go.
Yeah.
We know what we need to do. I know what she needs to do, and she knows what I need to do, and we get it together. It's really easy, actually.
Yeah.
It's way too easy.
That's what I like to hear. I mean, you guys are an inspiration, I feel like, in career and romantically, because you're working together and you're about to get married. I mean, what an exciting time.
Can't wait.
It's crazy because we gave ourselves so much time. From the time we were engaged, it's almost going to be 2 years that we're engaged before we get married. And, you know, I just tell anybody that's getting married, like, the biggest thing is give yourselves time. Don't get engaged and get married right away.
Right.
Because it's fun.
Even though that's what I did.
Enjoy the engagement.
But I mean, were you guys together for a while before?
3 years, yeah.
And we had only been together for a year and a half.
Yeah, just about.
So, you know, we hadn't been together for that long. So for us, it was really important to have that long engagement.
Absolutely.
And we got to say, you know, oh, that's my fiance for a long time, which is fun. But it's incredible. It really is how well we still get along when we're traveling so much together.
You guys are an inspiration. It was such an honor to have you in my car and run an errand together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're here. We're all done. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Hope to have you
This
back
is
again.
fantastic,
Yeah,
and good luck
absolutely.
with everything,
Thank
honey.
you. Thank you so much.